Hello all, welcome to Sand Compounding. This is Sandeep Anand. I'm starting a new series called 20 for 2030. And what does that even mean? For investors in investing, the formula of compounding, which is very powerful, and the formula is P into 1 plus R by 100 whole to the power N. And N is an exponential factor. N is nothing but, we all know, it's a time invested, time we invest in the capital is invested in a business, or the tenure as we can call. And the tenure or longevity of our investment is very important because if we make investments in businesses that can sustain for 10 to 12 years with a good level of growth and at the right valuation, we are made home. The returns on the capital invested would be very high. Now, how do we find businesses which can run and which has such longevity of 10, 12 years, especially in today's world of disruption? Every business is getting disrupted. Erstwhile, no wonder Warren Buffett, the legendary investor, used to find businesses which are least disruptive and that can run for a long time with growth, and he called it as moat. While moat investing, I don't know if it's really that relevant in today's generation because all businesses are getting disrupted with the advent of digital and mobile and internet. Now, identifying such businesses is a very difficult task, and I have tried my best to find out 20 such businesses which can pay way till 2030, and come 2030, in hindsight, these businesses would have been great to hold for such a longevity period. Now, how do we find these businesses? I've applied the principle of inversion, which I learned from Charlie Munger, and we look forward to 2030, and when we look back in hindsight, the inversion principle, based on that, what businesses could and why those businesses could sustain till that period is what I've done. So here are such 20 stocks, and one most important thing, not in investing, not all businesses are great investments at all point of time, but most point of time. So there could be reasons being valuation is one important factor which can control the time when we enter into a business. If there are frothy valuations, our returns would be mediocre. So it's very important to identify great longevity, great businesses which has longevity and at the same time that has good growth and the right valuation. So, but this could be a blueprint or a watch list that we can use to identify, and when the correction happens or recession happens, these great businesses could be a great entry point, could give a great entry point. Hope this gets interesting as we move on. Continuing my session on 20 for 2030, the next in list is the leading US fintech payments firm called PayPal. PayPal is a comprehensive payments platform, and it helps customers to accept, to make the payments and merchants to accept payments, and they skip the conservative traditional line of banking related transactions and payments methodologies like cash and check. It has been at the forefront of the digital payments in US over the last decade. Founded by the famous PayPal mafia, which had people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, they have grown organically and inorganically over the last decade. They had brilliant acquisitions like Venmo, which is a P2P payments leader, and they also had acquired Xoom, which is a global money transfer services. PayPal, with Daniel Schulman, who is the current CEO at the helm, has large plans for the next decade ahead. Let's analyze more in detail about why I think PayPal would be in the 20 for 2030 list. So PayPal, as we said, is a de facto operating system for mobile and digital commerce around the world. It just scratched the surface, I would say. Like, it just started the journey maybe 5-6 years away, and the transition from cash economy to the digital economy, it has just happened in selected handful of countries like developed nations like US, Europe. It just kickstarted in these countries too. It's not even halfway through the journey. Now, around 300 million active accounts PayPal has, and that's like 48% of active accounts are outside US. So it's almost 50% of the business active accounts are held in US, remaining 50% outside US, and they are prevalent on their open digital payments platform. And PayPal has been growing at a rapid clip over the last decade because the initial years of growth in the last decade, it was the first 10 years of transition from cash economy to the digital world, and people who are unbanked, and the vision itself was to identify and find a company that is able to deliver for people who cannot go to bank, or don't have bank accounts and credit cards and other things. And that's how PayPal came into existence, right? And PayPal has been successfully transitioning this, getting rid of this cash economy and getting rid of this bank related transactions, and that is how they created this entire payments ecosystem globally. For merchants who are on who use their suite of services and products, they drive incremental sales, and as digital payments method continue to replace cash, they are creating faster and more secure ways to manage and move money. They had acquisitions like Xoom, which is helping them to move money overseas, and they are offering greater choices and flexibility when it comes to sending payments between family and friends, with their Venmo acquisition, which we'll delve into details. Their combined payment solutions that includes PayPal, which is from the payment standpoint. They have the PayPal credit cards, they have the Braintree. Then for Venmo, which is helping the P2P, that's peer-to-peer transfer or person-to-person transfer. Then they have the Xoom, which was an acquisition, and Xoom helps in overseas money transfer network. And then they have iZettle products. It's a comprehensive payments platform end-to-end with all these acquisitions. Daniel Schulman is the current CEO of PayPal, and their full focus ahead for the next decade is mobile and digital, like in-store mobile payments by introducing digital wallets for physical stores through QR code. So this is like something very important to note. QR code based transactions is not so prevalent or pervasive in US and Europe, unlike China and India and even Brazil for that matter. Emerging nations have leapfrogged that whole system and into the QR code based transaction even within stores. But in US it's more digital payments that PayPal is involved in. Even other players are not enabling QR code based transactions in store, right? Which is a completely untapped industry in US, and a lot of that could be because of the regulatory and norms. And PayPal is trying to get into that area. Now, mobile payments have become more pervasive of recent, with the mobile and internet speed increasing, and now with 5G, even more faster networks and interconnections are available. I think mobile payments will become even more prevalent, and the need for people to do digital transactions. Now, Schulman feels that capabilities like choosing to use reward points at the point of sale, splitting a purchase between payment methods like rewards, a debit card and a credit card, and mobile order ahead. Now, PayPal had acquired Xoom, which was a digital money transfer firm, for $1 billion in 2015. Also, PayPal acquired iZettle, which is a Swedish mobile payments company, in 2018. They also acquired Venmo in 2013 as part of the Braintree deal. Braintree used to own that for $800 million. It was, I would say, a flagship and a phenomenal acquisition that they did, Venmo. It was such a huge success, and they have gone ahead and became the leader in P2P transactions, in peer-to-peer money transfer, sending money ability, and the whole payment strategy. It was a great strategy they did. Then Xoom acquisition also was great, with the ability to create the cross-border remittances, and they are also continuously looking at inorganic growth avenues. Recently, they are also venturing into a lot of partnerships. The example is GoPay, which is called the GoFubao, which is a stake in Chinese online payment services. They acquired around 70% controlling stake in GoPay, and it's an online gateway payment service in China that will enable PayPal to enter into China. This will be the first non-Chinese payments company to provide online payment services in world's second largest e-commerce market. So China is the second largest, which is around $2 trillion annual sales in 2019. They also had partnered with Mercado Libre, which I have detailed in the last slide, in Brazil, which has recently happened, and we'll discuss about that in the last slide. Now, coming to Venmo, which is a rapidly growth engine for PayPal. Their mobile wallet and fintech services are the future of banking, and Venmo leads there hands down. So they have replaced many of the transactions and many of the financial services that only banks used to do earlier in the last decade, they have replaced successfully with Venmo and PayPal itself on the digital side. Venmo's total payments volume was around $27.5 billion just in Q3 2019. So roughly they crossed $100 billion TPV in 2019. That is phenomenal. I mean, exiting Q3 2019 with $400 million annual revenue run rate. So they are roughly fetching $500 million just in annual revenue run rate from Venmo. And look at the growth chart. It's average growing at 70-60% currently in 2019. It is slowing down, the growth is slowing down, but because there are players like Square also capturing the market share in P2P payments with their product like Square Cash now, but still this is a huge untapped market even internationally, and there is a lot of growth ahead for Venmo. They also launched their first credit card in 2020. And also they have PayPal also is getting into the credit card business with their PayPal credit cards, partnering with MasterCard. Now merchants who are accepting Venmo, you could see the the marquee names there like Uber, Grubhub, Fandango, Poshmark, Hulu. A lot of people are also accepting Venmo point of sale devices. Percentage of monetized users is also increasing. It's reached around 35% as of 2019 Q3. Now total revenues, profitability and operational aspects, let's delve into that. And total TPV has now reached $199 billion in Q4 2019 as of that date, with 43% of it from mobile channel. So look at the phenomenal growth of mobile channel as a channel for payments, and Venmo processed around $29 billion TPV in, just in that quarter. Now what we need to look at here is the growth has been year-on-year growth of the total payments volume is around, from PayPal standpoint, is around 27% growth, which is good, and the total revenue and transaction revenue grew by 19% just in Q3 FY19. Total expenses stood at 76%, so very good operating margin they have, and that's around 20% operating margin, which is maintained on an average. 2020 revenue guidance stands at $21 billion with projected growth of 15% year on year, and a total payment volume growth range of 20%. So roughly the industry is growing between 15-20%, and with a good 20% margins, the PayPal is poised to grow very good growth in the next decade. Now 36 to 38 net new accounts opened by PayPal, that's 36 to 38 million net new accounts opened in just 2019. Now looking at the balance sheet strength, cash flows, capital allocation ratios. So the capex spent of $173 million, which averages at 5% of revenue every year. It's a very asset light model. In 2018 completed acquisitions of iZettle, Hyperwallet and Jetlore. So they are looking at inorganic revenue avenues of growth, and they acquired Hyperwallet and Honey in 2019-20. Honey is a significant acquisition, which is a dominant player in the rewards and loyalty scheme, and they made strategic investments in Mercado Libre and Uber. So Mercado Libre is a leader for people who don't know, it's a leader in e-commerce in Brazil and even Latin America, but that's not what PayPal looked at when they acquired. They looked at their underlying Mercado Pago, which is a payments platform, which Mercado Pago is a leader in payments like PayPal in US. Mercado Pago is a leader, and that's what they looked at when they took a stake in Mercado Libre. They are constantly looking at inorganic strategy, also gave back $2.8 billion to shareholders, so capital efficiency is good. They are in reinvesting capital in new avenues of growth. They are looking at inorganic way of acquisitions for growth, and also spending capital, returning back capital to shareholders effectively through share buyback. Now highly valued at 54 times earnings, but we should look at the total addressable market and where this is currently from a growth standpoint. Today it is just it just started replacing cash. Digital economy is just paving way for a great growth ahead in the next decade, and the cash economy is still prevalent globally, still prevalent in US. There is still long way to grow, especially with mobile and 5G. PayPal will continue its growth. Now they have cash of $13 billion, debt of $2 billion, operating cash flow of $5.4 billion in 2018, free cash flow of $3.5 billion. So it's a high cash generating business, total market cap being $137 billion. To take it at just level, why I think PayPal will still be a great business to hold in hindsight when we look back in 2030. PayPal keeps growing revenue at 19 to 20% with 20% operating margins and a strong return ratio of 15 to 16% return on equity year on year. It's a strong business model and a steady compounder. Now the entry to PayPal Credit to SMB businesses and PayPal Credit Card are also great businesses which has high returns, and these are great businesses to plow capital back for better returns. PayPal will gain immensely as the world shifts towards digital and mobile e-commerce, taking market share from brick and mortar retailing. So we have to take one point here. E-commerce itself is only 5% of the total commerce, or maybe 10% if you take globally. Now, e-commerce is going to take even more market share from brick and mortar. More and more such physical stores are getting closed. More and more malls are getting closed, and the business is shifting towards e-commerce. And as business grows in e-commerce, PayPal is going to gain immensely from the shift to the digital based payments. They have huge untapped market opportunity, especially in fast growing countries like China with their partnership with GoPay, in Brazil with their partnership with Mercado Pago, and they are also growing well, displacing many of the banking services, catering such as services directly to consumers like payments, settlements, P2P transfers, money transfers, and purchases through online transactions. PayPal is the best digital and fintech play in US, especially with their best acquisitions like in its armor, like Venmo, Zoom, Hyperwallet, iZettle, and Honey, as we saw in the previous slide. Venmo's customer base has grown to 52 million and TPV growing at 56%. This is a whopping growth. Venmo has also released co-branded cards with Synchrony Bank, which is a big booster to the consumer lending retail franchising. Value-added products and services on Venmo platform like Venmo credit cards, rewards, loyalty are going to be even bigger in the decade ahead. So they are creating a comprehensive digital payment platform, and they have succeeded that both organically growing and inorganically acquiring companies. PayPal will be made available as a payment option in the Mercado Pago online checkout for people in Brazil and Mexico, which opens the door for them to the Mercado Pago, Mercado Libre customers in Latin American markets. PayPal will also be accepted in the Mercado Libre marketplace for cross-border purchases. Now they will also offer Mercado Pago as a payment method at PayPal merchants around the world. So it's a win-win for both Mercado Libre and PayPal, allowing approximately 50 million Mercado Pago users in Brazil and Mexico to tap into to pay with their preferred digital wallet. Now finally, mobile in-store payments haven't taken off yet. That is another big industry to grow in US. It's projected to be around $76 billion payment industry, and mobile e-commerce is set to more than double that total. So mobile, 5G, e-commerce are all set to drive PayPal's growth in the next decade, and hope this was useful. Thank you.